in a quiet suburban town where everyone knew everyone. One late evening, a single phone call shattered the calm. A missing person. As report that seemed ordinary until investigators realized the person who vanished had left behind something chilling. A perfectly staged scene, as if they knew this day was coming. What followed would unravel a web of lies, secrets, and betrayal that even seasoned detectives couldn't believe. It was a cool October night when Laura Jensen, a respected community teacher, failed to return home. Laura Jensen's disappearance began like any ordinary weekday, a detail that makes her story even more haunting. She was known as a warm, dedicated teacher who often stayed after class to help struggling students, sometimes leaving the school well after sunset. On that particular October evening, she waved goodbye to a few colleagues, promising she was just heading home to finish grading papers. No one suspected that would be the last time anyone would see her. Her absence wasn't noticed until late that night when she failed to show up at home. Her sister, unable to reach her, reported her missing the next morning. In a town where people trusted one another, the idea of someone vanishing without warning felt impossible. As word spread, a quiet concern grew into a collective unease. Neighbors started retracing her last known steps, and the police began their search, starting with the school grounds. The calm, familiar atmosphere of the small town quickly shifted into one of fear and speculation. For investigators, the early clues were baffling. There were no signs of a struggle, no evidence of forced entry, and no witnesses who had seen anything unusual. It was as if Laura had simply walked out of her life. The mystery of her disappearance would soon prove that sometimes the most ordinary days conceal the most extraordinary dangers. When detectives arrived at the school, Laura's car was still parked exactly where she usually left it. The doors were unlocked, the keys were still in the ignition, and her phone sat quietly on the passenger seat. Nothing appeared to be stolen or disturbed. It was as if she had just stepped away for a moment and planned to return, but never did. This eerie sense of normalcy sent a chill through the investigators, who knew that in missing persons cases, the smallest details often carry the biggest meanings. Even more unsettling was what they found next. The school's entire security system, which automatically recorded all camera footage, had mysteriously gone offline just an hour before Laura's final class ended. There was no technical explanation for the failure and no visible sign of tampering. It seemed someone with access and knowledge must have disabled it. This single discovery shifted the investigation from a possible accident to a deliberate act. The town's trust began to fracture as rumors spread about who could have been behind it. The coincidence was just too perfect, the timing too calculated. It was no longer just about a missing teacher, it was about uncovering who wanted her unseen. For days into the investigation, a breakthrough came from a simple text message. Laura's sister showed the police the final text she had ever received from her. "If anything happens to me, check the red notebook." Those few words turned the case from a mystery into a desperate search for that one critical clue. Investigators combed through Laura's home, her desk, and her classroom, and it was there, hidden beneath a loose floorboard, that they found a worn, red-covered notebook filled with hastily written notes and coded messages. Inside, Laura had documented meetings with an unnamed person she cryptically called the Watcher. Some entries described shadowy, late-night encounters near the school parking lot and subtle warnings that she felt someone was following her. The language was cautious, almost paranoid, yet eerily consistent. Every page hinted at something much bigger secret she was piecing together, but hadn't yet revealed. To the detectives, this notebook wasn't just evidence. It was a window into Laura's growing fear. Each scribbled line captured her awareness that she was being watched, and her desperate attempt to leave behind the truth if she ever couldn't tell it herself. The investigation into the notebook's contents led detectives into the heart of the town's political and financial circles. Laura, it appeared, had been quietly investigating members of the local community board, the same people responsible for funding school programs and local construction projects. What she discovered seemed to point toward financial manipulation and hidden accounts that benefited a select few. She had been keeping records, saving emails, and even confronting certain individuals under the guise of teacher concerns. Her friends later told investigators that Laura had become withdrawn in the months leading up to her disappearance. She had confided that she was onto something too dangerous to ignore, but refused to elaborate. Some believed she was overreacting. Others suspected she was in real danger. As the truth began to surface, it became clear that Laura's idealism, her belief in doing the right thing, might have placed her directly in the path of those who had so much to lose. The corruption she uncovered, though never fully proven, suggested that powerful figures had a motive to silence her. What began as a teacher-esque quiet pursuit of justice had turned into a high-stakes battle against people she could no longer trust. Weeks after she vanished, a call came in to the local police station. An anonymous tip led detectives to an abandoned cabin at the edge of a dense forest just outside of town. Inside, they found traces of Laura's handwriting, half-eaten food, and recording equipment. It seemed to be a place she had been using as a hideout. It was clear she had been living there recently, perhaps trying to gather more evidence before exposing what she'd discovered. But just as suddenly as she had gone missing the first time, the trail went cold again. There were no signs of a struggle, no footprints leading away, and no clues to where she had gone next. The discovery of the cabin only deepened the mystery. Had she fled to protect herself, or had someone found her first? To this day, Laura Jensen's case remains open, filed among the town's most chilling, unsolved disappearances. The Red Notebook, still locked away in police custody, stands as the last physical link to her story, a silent testament to a woman who may have uncovered more than she could handle. For those who remember her, Laura's disappearance is not just a tragedy, but a haunting reminder that truth, when threatened, often vanishes with those brave enough to seek it. Every small town has its secrets, but sometimes the quietest streets hide the loudest truths. Disclaimer: this story is inspired by real investigative themes, but is a work of creative storytelling. All characters and events are fictionalized for entertainment. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. If this story captivated you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more mysteries that will keep you guessing. See you next time.